Bienvenue à vous toutes et à vous tous dans cette nouvelle partie Bang Bang, l'interview avec aujourd'hui un groupe assez extraordinaire, un groupe qu'on est ravis de rencontrer, c'est The Ghost Inside avec Jim. Bonjour.
Bonjour. Ça va?
Ça va très bien. How are you today? Do you visit Paris? Do you do something special? What means Paris to you?
Yeah, it's amazing to be here. Paris is like one of those cities in the world that you can never run out of new things to see. The last time we were here, we played up in Montmartre, so we went to Sacré-Cœur and we did a lot of things up there. And this time today I went to the Musée d'Orsay and a few other places on my journey today. I went to the place where Gojira played for the Olympics, which is really cool. What a neat moment for metal music. So yeah, I love the city. It's a great place to be a tourist. So try to soak it up for a few hours and then go play a great show tonight.
It's going to be a great show for sure.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the French spirit?
So
you can say whatever you want.
I can. My family is a little bit French. I learned quite a bit of French growing up, so I really enjoy it here. French people are confident and they know they have a beautiful place, so sometimes they kind of give you the like, "What are you doing in my beautiful place?" Which we deserve. We come here and we make a mess. So, but it's great food. It's like I'm a breakfast person, so the fact that you can go get like a warm croissant and a cup of coffee anywhere in the city and it's amazing is like the perfect way to start a day.
And like that, you get the smile after.
Yeah, exactly.
A great time. So you released your 6th album, Searching for Solace. This year, in June, that's right?
Yeah, in June.
After so many years, do you still get as much enjoyment out of it?
Yeah, this time through was awesome. It was really different than some of the other projects in the past. In 2014, we put out Dear Youth, and that was the last record we wrote with our original guitar player. We did the self-titled record in 2020. But that process felt from the beginning like we knew what that record was going to be. It was all about that time from the band's bus accident to there. And it felt very safe. It felt very much like we did the formula of The Ghost Inside. We didn't really explore too many new things. And we really loved that record, but I think it also gave us the freedom this time around to write any kind of songs that we wanted. And yeah, the only litmus test that we really had in the studio was like, do we like it and do we think we're going to have fun when we play it? And so all of these songs are songs that we look forward to playing. Like we're already playing more than half of the songs from the record in the set list. And I think every song on the record will get played before this album cycle is over, and we've never had that before. So that part of it is totally new to us, like a really a group spirit with writing, and also just like total freedom to see wherever writing took us. And I think at the end of the day, you still have a really it's still very much a Ghost Inside record, but it's a step into the next part for us.
So you feel lucky? Yeah,
we're so lucky to be doing this. I'm sure a lot of people will know by the time they see this, like with some of the things that we've been through. And, we've been a band for getting close to 20 years and to still be writing music, which feels fresh.
That's good.
It's such a gift. And, like we didn't think we would ever play any more shows. We didn't think we would ever write any more music. And so to now have 2 records out after the accident, to be back to being basically a full-time touring band, to be coming and playing festivals like Hellfest and all these things, every day is a dream come true. So we're very lucky.
Because we don't really think about it, but when you're an artist, it's quite hard to reinventing yourselves every time, because it's a work, of course, but you have to do it with your heart because you're an artist. And sometimes it can be difficult. With your mind, with your heart?
Yeah, and when we were young, we didn't have many responsibilities at home. We had jobs at home, and one of the things that sometimes is hard to like navigate as an artist is that the band is also our job. So there's always that push and pull of like, you want to do something that is going to be successful because, paying your phone bill depends on it. We have families and we have just more responsibility in life than we did when we were young. And that pressure can creep into the writing process. And I think this time around, we felt really free from that. We had a ton of support from the record label, from Epitaph, the best label on earth. And everything we showed them, they were like, this is awesome, keep going. Don't hold yourselves back. And I do want to give a shout out to our friend Winston from Parkway Drive. Kind of in the middle of the writing process, we crossed paths with him, and I sat and I talked with him for probably almost an hour about, taking steps forward into the future of the band. And Parkway Drive is a band that has continued to evolve themselves,
Yes.
And they've certainly lost some fans along the way, but they've gained a whole lot more as they go. And the one thing he told me that really stuck with me is he said, whatever you choose to do, just be bold. And do it 110%, because if you give it 90%, everyone will know and they'll see right through it. And so I'll pass that advice along to anyone that might see this. Like whatever,
everything,
whichever direction you go the best you can.
Yeah, you don't have to mind about the thinking of the people, the fans. Don't mind, but do whatever you want.
I think if you write things to make other people happy, they'll be disappointed, and so will you. So at the end of the day, like I said, we wrote songs that we really like. The first time that we got the mix back with all 11 songs in a row, I put it on and I drove around the city 3 times listening to it in my truck, because as soon as it was over, I was like, man, I want to listen to this again. And other records I think we've been really proud and really happy with, but this is the first time for me that it's like front to back and then started over. So yeah.
So we're going to talk about maybe the lyrics or the spirit of the album and the band today, even if you talk a little bit about this. But do you think that we are our worst enemy or our worst parasite or things like this? The human. Because I think you talk a little bit about this.
Yeah. I do think that we can be our own worst enemy for sure. That we are always our own worst critic as well. That we sometimes are not as kind to ourselves as we should be, that we hold ourselves to like an impossible standard. And it's really easy to be patient and forgiving and kind to other people, and it's important to remember that you are also a person who deserves kindness and patience. And so like these are a lot of things that we had to explore in writing this record, and I have my own feelings about like the place of humanity in the world and what we're doing to the environment around us and things like that. And you
can be sad.
Yeah, it's a crazy time to be in the world. We live in Las Vegas, and not to go too deep into it, but this year Las Vegas set a record for the most hot days ever in a year. So 38 Celsius, which is 100 Fahrenheit. We had the most days where it was above that temperature in the history of the city this year. And I had a son this year, and this will probably be the coldest year of his whole life. Like the planet, every year from this year forward will be warmer than the one before it. And it's a hard thing to think that the planet is changing so much beneath us, and that it passes so quickly and changes so quickly that sometimes we don't do enough to take responsibility for how we're causing some of those things to happen.
So it's hard to stay like easy or quite, when you think about this, your brain gonna explode. Yeah, one person can only do so many things, and you can try to like raise awareness of things around you. But like we're traveling around in this tour bus, which sucks down the gas, and you feel bad about it. But while we're on this earth, I think it's important to experience joy, and that the powers that be and the things that we're all against, they win when we stop living with joy. So music, I think, is a thing that brings people joy, and I wish we could do it in an electric vehicle or something, but maybe later.
As long as we're making people smile, and they can go back into the world with a renewed sense of joy and a sense of purpose, then that's what music is for, and someone has to do it, and I feel really honored that they've chosen us to be one of those people that get to do it.
When we listen to your music and when we take a look at the lyrics, we can see dark things, dark side, but dark side to be happy after, like a work, like you always to work on yourself. Or it's hard, but you say you have to do it, please, because life is nice. Like you said, Joy.
Jonathan is the main lyric writer, but he's let Andrew and I help quite a bit more with the last 2 records. And one of the themes that's always been important to the Ghost Inside is that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that there is like a positive turn to things. And so often in the past, we wrote things that only kind of had that positive thing. You know, like the world is crappy enough. We didn't feel like it was right to write songs that were angry or negative because there's enough of that in the world.
Yeah.
However, you know, the life in the more recent years has taught us that it is a balance of light and dark, that life itself is about bad moments and good moments, and you have to experience bad moments to truly enjoy the good moments. And so for the first time, I think on this record, really, we let ourselves write about having bad times. Rather than force feeding people with like the good vibes thing, I think we just let ourselves be ourselves. And I think if you listen to this record all the way through, you end up with a good feeling.
Of course, yeah.
And to me, that is mission accomplished, because life is not all rainbows and butterflies 24 hours a day. But the hope is that people will, at the end of the day, go, you know what, like more ups than downs, and we got through it, and go again tomorrow. So
after a gig of Ghost Inside, we will be okay.
Yeah,
you'll be happy, like sweat, like.
Yeah, a Ghost Inside gig is so funny because it's like equal parts like the biggest, scariest, crazy face tattoo guys you've ever seen, like,
and they cry.
Yeah, moshing their brains out while they're crying along to their favorite song. The juxtaposition is really funny, and something that we joke about a lot. But it's like, it's such a great joy to see a guy who maybe like all day long he has the tough guy face on. He's able to come to our show and let that down and really let himself come out. So
we talk a lot about in our show about the mental health. So this is about it.
Yeah.
And what do you think about crying?
I'm a crier. I went and I saw this Van Gogh painting today, the self-portrait one that everyone knows. And as a person who likes art just a little bit, I've dreamed of seeing that in person my whole life. And when I stood there, I just like, I got a little choked up. You know, like that is one tiny dream come true. And you know, music is so powerful. We associate it with different moments in our life. Like, we write the songs about things that have happened to us, but people listen to this music when something is happening to them. So listening to a specific song will transport them back to, you know, some other moment that they've lived, and they relive that and they let it out. And, you know, cry, go crazy, let the tears out.
It's important. Yeah. It's a feeling. So if you feel that, it's okay. It means you're alive.
Yeah.
No? And about this music, the metal scene, do you think it's the kind of music it's okay with that? It means like it's hard, it's really heavy, you can shout, you can go crazy. Do you think it's the perfect music to be okay with your mental after? It's important for that.
Yeah, and I think it's becoming much more accepted. I think a lot of our peers have done a good job of being transparent about their own struggles, talking about the hard times that they had, you know, and I think COVID really put things in perspective for a lot of musicians, that we come out here and we live like a really kind of glamorous life, you know, with not a lot of responsibilities. Like, my only job today is to try not to eat McDonald's and you know, like, and go to bed before 3 a.m. So when we come out here, we don't have to like kind of live in the real world. And because of the pandemic, we were suddenly like stuck at home, kind of like living without our dreams and thrown into like a situation that most people are living all the time. And I think a lot of our peers struggled quite a bit in that time. We lost quite a few friends to suicide in the last few years because those struggles are so big. And a lot of our friends have talked very openly about things that they've struggled with. And I think that opens the door. Like, you know, we get up there and we're the, you know, the tough guys with the tattoos and all this stuff. And if you can use the little bit of platform that you have to be like, hey man, I have shitty days too. Can I say shitty?
Yeah. You can say whatever you want to in France.
It's a metal show, of course. You can bleep it out or whatever. But I do think that's a place where like we have a little bit of responsibility as leaders, and I hate to say that, but you know, like these guys out here today who are lined up wearing like their, you know, their Motorhead jackets or whatever, like we'll have a nice sincere conversation with them, and if they see me say, you know, like, I've really struggled with my mental health in this way, maybe it opens them up to talk about that either with their partner, with a professional, with their friends or whatever, or maybe they're not having a hard time, but they talk to one of their friends who is having a hard time. And that's something that's become more common. There's a lot more resources for that these days. And I think it's a really important thing that metal music specifically has kind of like made itself open to that, like you can come here and you can punch a guy in the face and also cry.
That's it. And we can talk about your life. You say that's joy, you can see things, beautiful things, you travel, you do music, so everything seems to be good. But in fact, for the people they don't know your life, maybe it's hard to be away from your family and all these things, you know. It's not really pink all the time or shiny.
Yeah, you know, there's certain things that we don't have to struggle with because of this lifestyle, but we replace them with other things. Like I said, I kind of started a family this year. My son is 3 months old today, and I talked to him over FaceTime, and that's hard. It's a big sacrifice to not be there marking those milestones with the family. It is a trade-off, certainly, and one that is often invisible. These people that come today, most of them will only see us for one show this year. They won't know that we spent 6 months this year away from our families.
Nice.
And that time can add up and take a toll on you. And I think more often than ever before, bands are kind of canceling tours because they just don't want to be on the road, or they've done too much, or they're getting burnt out. And again, kind of goes back to our mental health thing. I think that's really important. Like, at any job, you need a break, and especially this job, the unique nature of it, taking time to make sure you're in a good place to go and do a good job is important.
And maybe some of the artists can go crazy because of the success too.
Yeah.
It's something to...
Yeah.
But it's a really subject. It's important.
Yeah, this job can very easily take you away from reality. People will not, especially the people that come to the show, like they're fans of the band, they're not here to criticize you, really. You often get a lot of good for you, I love you, you're my favorite band. It's a lot of like positive reinforcement.
And after...
and that can become a drug. Like, it can become like something that you get addicted to, and you think that that's reality, and then you go home and like, you know, nobody's gassing you up like that. That's not how real life is. So, it's that part of it too is challenging, and something you have to. The longer you do this, the more you have to understand how to like take it for what it is and appreciate it, and then kind of leave it where it came from.
And in this record, you talk about the time that just feel like I don't know how to say it in English. The time goes on fast. So
yes.
you say in the lyrics and we can feel with your music that we have to live this time each second of our lives.
Yeah, it's like I said, walking around today. For us, we lost this band one time. We got it back for 2 shows, and then we lost it for a second time in the pandemic. So for us, this every day really is special. We really, really try not to take it for granted. This could be the last time I ever come to Paris, you know, and that almost happened to us. So I try not to come here and be like, you know what, I'm actually going to eat McDonald's today, and I'm not gonna go for a walk. And so to make the most of each day is important, and it takes work to do that, to not fall into the trap of like becoming complacent with just wake up and go through the motions and play the show and go to bed, and to get a little bit more out of the day and a little bit more out of life each day.
Donc vous avez toutes et tous à faire cela, bien sûr, puisque Ghost Inside, c'est un petit peu ça, c'est une aide psychologique, c'est du plaisir, c'est de l'intelligence aussi. En tout cas, on les remercie beaucoup pour ce 6e album, et ce soir, ça va être un show extraordinaire du côté du Bataclan.
Yeah, Dorian.
Good.
I think, right?
Yeah, that's good. So thank you for everything, thank you for your music, thank you for doing what you do, and see you tonight.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. And to our French fans, thank you so much. This is always such a special place for us to come to. I know that we don't always go to places besides Paris, but hopefully we will next time. And if you make the trip up here, you're in for a great show every time. We love you. Merci beaucoup.
À la prochaine.